But since you don't, let's talk to Jerry Jordan, not Jerry Jones. Jerry Jordan, speaking of schools, he has the responsibility of serving as the president of the Teachers Union here in the city of Philadelphia, the PFT, Philadelphia Federation of Teachers. Oh, boy. Jerry, good morning. Welcome back to the program.
Good morning. It's good to be on with you.
Yeah, thank you so much. I tell you, I don't know if you saw that story from Alex Jones. That is ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
Sandy Hook is a hoax. Jeez.
Can't tell that to the families of the people who were murdered there, the students and the teachers.
Yeah, I know. To my heart, hurtful. I mean, just it's one thing to have a take on guns, and it's like, well, guns didn't do it, person did. That's one thing, but to then just write it off like it didn't happen. Oh boy. Well,
no,
listen.
I can't think that way. I mean, it's just bizarre.
Yeah.
To even try to wrap my head around how someone can reason something as awful as Sandy Hook as it not having happened.
Yeah.
We all witnessed it.
Wow. I tell you, it's something. Well, listen, on to a bit of good news about our schools. You are a part of a coalition, you and the Philadelphia Federation of Teachers, I believe. It is the Fund Our Facilities Coalition, and it has the focus of securing the funding necessary to make sure that our school buildings are safe, clean, and comfortable. And it's not only you, but I mean, it's a big coalition. City Council President Darrell Clark, council members Helen Gim, Sherelle Parker, Mark Squilla, Derek Green, State Senator Larry Farnese, PA State Rep Elizabeth Fiedler, even the AFL-CIO President Pat Eiding, and David Masur, Philadelphia Healthy Schools Initiative, along with Philadelphia Delegation Chair Representative Jason Dawkins. That's a big coalition. What are you trying to do, and how much? Well, first of all, and how much money are you trying to raise to get here?
Well, let me say that there are even more people.
Wow.
State Representative Kenyatta Johnson was present. State Representative Jim Roebuck was not there, but sent a staff person because of a conflict with his schedule.
Great.
State Representative Steve McCarter was also a part. State Representative Danilo Burgos was present as well. So it's quite an impressive group of elected officials and unions that are joined together. And what we've joined together asking for $170 million, and we need the $170 million to fix the most immediate and dangerous conditions in our schools. And I don't want this to be confused with you and the members of the listening audience are, I'm sure, familiar with the school district saying that the district needs $5 billion to deal with the facilities problems that we have. But that deals with the overall problems, every problem that needs to be repaired. We're talking about immediate things such as cleaning the rodent infestations in our buildings, the droppings.
Rodent,
which happens to be a trigger for asthma. And in our city and in urban cities, there's about 25% of our children who suffer with asthma. So if they're exposed to rodent droppings and other triggers, their asthma is affected and they become sick. So that's an immediate need. When we look at the issue of windows and roofs that are faulty, windows that allow air to come in the winter and heat to come in during the summer, those are examples of things that need to happen immediately. We are asking for that $170 million so that the district will have the funds to hire cleaners in order to make sure that our buildings are clean for kids so that you don't have the rodent dropping, so that after an asbestos job is done in the school to remove asbestos, there needs to be thorough cleaning that takes place every day. And we know our environmental scientists and facilities people know the best way to consistently clean buildings, but you need to have the personnel in order to do it. So because the district doesn't have enough personnel in the area of the cleaning facilities unit, it means that cleaning doesn't take place properly, and therefore that too can be a trigger for our children with asthma. We need to deal with the lead paint and the removal of lead paint and the chips and that fall, because as we know that it can affect the brains of little children. And some of the conditions are really just inhumane, and they're conditions under which most people don't work or live in. And why are we sending our children there into buildings that need to be repaired every day? And we say to them, we want you to do well, we love you, but we're showing them something else.
Oh, boy. So where do you hope to get and where's this $170 million going to come from?
Oh, and, I forgot, State Senator Vincent Hughes.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
He was president. He's been an activist.
Champion.
For this, for new facilities and clean facilities, and pointing out the differences between our schools in Philadelphia versus schools in other parts of the, Philadelphia area, the surrounding districts. But the reason that we were fortunate enough to be joined by elected officials, when we think about where does the funding come from for our schools, it comes from the state and from city council. And because we have been fortunate to have members of the legislature as well as city council present, people who recognize the need for this coalition and the need for the repairs to be made in the buildings, they are the ones who we are working with, and we're asking for support from our community here in Philadelphia, from the parents and from community groups, so that money can be found. It's amazing, but money is found when we need a stadium, or when we need to have something else that tends to make us feel good. But when it comes to our kids and facilities for them that are safe and clean and healthy, that money can be found. And the state budget and the city budget, $170 million is not a lot of money when looking at the size of their billion-dollar budgets.
Right. Well, it certainly helps, at least on the city side, that you had the right players there. I mean, if you have the council president, present and a part of this along with other council members, then that bodes well that, that the city is serious about putting some money on the table. I guess the question is, on the state side, obviously, it's kind of the same roadblock all the time when you're talking about appropriations for anything related to Philly. Just seems to be such an anti-Philadelphia bias, whether that's about, whether that's racial, whether that's about the image from the outside that Philly's got all that money, whatever it is. How do you address that? What are the state reps and state senators saying about the likelihood of getting any money toward this effort?
Well, they believe that we certainly should be pushing to make sure that we get the money, because this is not just a Philadelphia problem. And I'm glad that you raised that, because when you go across the Commonwealth to districts outside of Philadelphia, and there are 500 others, especially the rural districts, they are having financial difficulties as well, and their buildings need to be repaired, which is why we have, as a union, been working with elected officials to get a program that is called PlanCon funded. It was a bipartisan bill that passed the legislature in Harrisburg a few years back, and it hasn't been funded. The money from PlanCon would go to all of the districts in the Commonwealth for school repairs.
Right. So, and I just posted into the Facebook Live feed the editorial that you wrote in the Inquirer last week on March 27th Unacceptable condition of Philly school building sends a tragic signal to students. Your opinion piece, I should say. And this is a good read for anyone who wants more information about it. But so what would you hope, just people who are listening who really believe like you that the one thing children should not have to worry about when they go to school is the fact that the building itself might be a threat to them. What can just regular people do, whether they have kids in the district or not? What is your hope for listeners today?
I would hope that listeners would certainly contact their elected council members as well as state representatives and state senators to say to them that we believe that our buildings should be repaired because our children deserve to be in safe and healthy buildings. And take time and share this conversation and this effort with your neighbor, and with your relatives. And I think that bringing this to the attention of people makes a difference. For too many years, we've just accepted that, that's the way it is. These buildings are old, there's no money. And so we keep sending our children in to those conditions. And, we're trying to fight that image of sending kids into buildings like that because we know that our children deserve much better and that it's not a lot of money to make sure that the repairs are made, because really in making some of the repairs that are needed, they're going to save the district a lot of money from having to make bigger repairs and much more costly repairs later.
All right. Well, thank you. Listen, you're listening to the president of the PFT. Got a big job taking care of the teachers who take care of our children. Jerry Jordan, thank you for what you do, not only publicly, but I know a lot of the stuff that happens behind the scenes as well that you do to advocate to make sure our children have a good experience. And on behalf of as a parent of a couple of children who made it all the way through almost toward the end of their career in Philly public schools, I thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, we've had some great teachers along the way, so thank you.
Yes, we really do have some great teachers here in the city.
Yeah, all right. Take care, Jerry.
Thank you. Have a good day.
All right, you too. Yeah, I mean, if only they could have more resources, I'll tell you. I mean, the stuff that the teachers